Good morning, everyone. My name is Diane, Limon, and I have the honor and the privilege of being the training director here at the Net Zero Plus Electrical Training Institute. Here at the ETI, we have the ability to train a workforce, a skilled workforce for our NECA contractors. Currently, we have around 1,800 apprentices. We are the largest union electrical apprenticeship program in the country. What is also unique about our apprenticeship program is that our apprentices, when selected to come into our program, do not pay anything. There are no college loans, debts, none of that. We're literally training them to be the next skilled workforce as journey persons for our contractors here in Los Angeles. I just wanted to quickly pay some note to our apprentices. They're first year apprentices. They're a part of this program. So throughout your visit, you will see some apprentices here during day school. But the other thing that's unique, and I know there's a lot of folks here that are going to get to see our facility, but we are, as I mentioned, a net zero plus facility, 144,000 square feet. We actually almost on every given day produce more energy than we consume. You can see the solar panels, our microgrid, the electric vehicle chargers, and all of the efficiency inside of the building itself. So again, want to just welcome you here and thank you for being here today and the work that you do. Next, I'd like to introduce Eric Brown, the Vice President for IBEW Local 11 Los Angeles.
Thank you. Let me pick this up and see if it's a little far away. Well, first of all, I want to let you know that our business manager, Joel Barton, and our president, Rusty Wilton, are at our 9th District Progress meeting. That's the Western States. They're meeting in Las Vegas. It's a very important meeting mainly because, like us, the Western States seem to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more progressive. So there's some great ideas being tossed around, and I'm pretty sure we're going to pick up some awards for our efforts in organizing and creativity. The thing I do want to mention is the fact that I'm a product of this school. I've been in 40 years, and I've sat through meetings where we talked about the future, and it just went over a lot of people's heads. We always talk about the future here. We have to take care of the existing grid. We're working on homes that have been around for 100 years. We have to know how to go in there and fix them. Buildings that have been around for 60 years. But we also have to train these young men and women for what's coming. And we kind of have a vision. The next gentleman is part of the reason we have such vision, because he's been here and he's expressed it and helped us see it to fruition. But the most sustainable thing we have are those young men and women you see. They're going to be trained and they're going to be around for 30 years, 40 years down the road. And we're putting in them the vision and the skills needed. So no matter where this industry goes, we're going to be prepared to man it, expand it, and make it even better than it ever is. It's a privilege to come talk to you. Please understand that today is the future. And enjoy yourselves and our hospitality. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn it over to a true visionary who's been around for a lot of years and seen this come full circle, the head of the NECA Contractors Association, Jim Wilson.
I got it. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, when you've been around and take the hard knocks, eventually sinks in. So on behalf of NECA, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome everyone to this historic and transformative event. In collaboration with the DOE, assembled here today is the leadership and industry partners committed and essential for the advancement of smart bidirectional charging solutions to electrify the transportation sector, as always with California leading the nation. That deserves an applause. We are proud to host this event at our state-of-the-art net zero and zero emission training facility. This campus is a testament of what can be accomplished when labor and management have shared goals and continually work together to achieve those goals. We have such a great partnership with the IBEW. We've been in the community over 100 years, servicing the electrical industry. This is an example. This facility and all the associated costs of training the thousands of apprentices and journeymen each year is almost entirely funded by contributions from each contractor and each IBEW member. We're almost like totally self-funded, which is unbelievable. And we believe this labor management cooperation model should be the blueprint for industries across America. So before I turn the program over to Rima, our MC, with the Department of Energy, I'd like to reiterate what an honor and pleasure it is to host this event, and more importantly, to be part of this groundbreaking and transformative collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate the warm welcome, and I think we have some flying papers, but it just adds color to the event. My name is Rima Oueid. I'm a commercialization executive within the U.S. Department of Energy in the Office of Technology Transitions. I will be your master of ceremonies today, and I want to provide some remarks to kick the event off and just sort of set the stage. And I do also want to pass on, the Secretary regrets you couldn't be here today. She is at the Salton Sea region, and I know it's a very serene place, and I hear there's a very aromatic delight to be experienced when you're there. But we're going to do some good work there as well, so it's very important. Thank you to IBEW and NECA for hosting such an important event and for the work you're doing to prepare a highly skilled workforce and to train EVSE electric vehicle service providers and installers on bidirectional infrastructure. Thank you to everyone here today that came out to celebrate the announcement of this first of its kind collaboration. The Vehicle to Everything MOU includes bidirectional electric vehicles and charging infrastructure that can send energy or services, including ancillary services, back to the grid. V2X also includes energy or services back to buildings, to homes, or to a load like a microgrid. So this is why we're calling this the Vehicle to Everything. A variety of automakers are coming together to lead the transformation in energy and transport, including General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Lucid, and Nissan. School buses are also helping to lead the way on V2X, such as our partners at Line Electric and First Student, who owns and operates over 42,000 school buses in North America. Medium and heavy duty fleet providers such as Zeem are also implementing V2X, and there will be more. Electric vehicle charging service providers such as Fermata, Rhombus, and Nuve are inventing the infrastructure and software necessary to integrate, enable, and monetize V2X. These innovators are working on solutions for both passenger vehicles as well as medium and heavy duty vehicles. As critical partners, utilities are also showing industry-wide support for V2X, including Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, Sacramento Municipal Utility District, the City of Lancaster Community Choice Aggregator, Southern California Edison, Pacific Gas and Electric Company, and San Diego Gas and Electric. I would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the leadership and support provided by California and the local governments and entities, including Los Angeles, the City of Lancaster, the California Energy Commission, the California Public Utilities Commission. They are setting high standards and are an inspiration to others. More states will be joining in the future. Lastly, I want to thank our partners at the federal level who are providing support, especially the Department of Energy's Office of Vehicle Technology Office, the Office of Electricity Technology Transitions, and the Cyber Energy Security and Emergency Response Office. The wind is strong. We also want to thank the Department of Labor for being here today and showing their support. Bringing this initiative together was no small feat, and I have the dark circles under my eyes to prove that. I also want to acknowledge letter that we received today from the University of California University System. And I'm going to read the first paragraph. On behalf of the University of California UC System and its official research and innovation, please accept my unqualified congratulations and support to the Vehicle to Everything collaboration being formalized today. By this groundbreaking Memorandum of Understanding, important parties are brought together with equal voice and partnership with the Department of Energy. This was signed by Teresa Maldonado, who is Vice President for Research and Innovation for the University of California, Office of the President.
And we will sign the MOU.
I'm going to hold you to that. I want to begin with a thought exercise. Imagine a world where transportation and energy networks work together as a single symbiotic energy system capable of delivering transport and energy storage services. This new symbiosis could create new value streams while simultaneously improving grid resilience and renewable energy reliability. This could happen, and we are building the partnerships that want to enable this future. Bidirectional electric vehicles present the potential for increasing the country's energy security, economic vitality, and quality of life. Bidirectional electric vehicles could play a key role in the country's transportation future and present an opportunity to support the grid as part of a broader approach to vehicle-to-grid integration and also reduce the cost of EVs for the general consumer. So these EVs could serve bidirectional EVs both as a mode of transport as well as an energy asset. Therefore, as a source of mobile storage, EVs can be an asset to the grid and not just load. IEA conservatively estimates 130 million electric vehicles globally by 2030. These EVs contain 10 times the amount of energy storage that the grid could need by that time. Imagine if those EVs were bidirectional and could also support the grid. As a mobile asset, bidirectional charging could help lower the total cost of ownership of EVs, provide resiliency benefits, and accelerate the rate of EV adoption because it can help lower the cost of those EVs to begin with. To date, most EV charging demonstrations have been unidirectional, in which charging is curtailed and shifted to other times of day. Unlike with one-way charging, in which the potential for energy services ends when the battery is charged, bidirectional charging and discharging makes the EV storage capacity available over longer periods of time. This collaboration intends to accelerate the development and commercialization of vehicle-to-everything technologies by bringing together cutting-edge resources from the department, the national labs, state and local governments, utilities, and private entities, all working together to overcome challenges and barriers to implementation. For me, this is personal. I was born in a hospital during a civil war. My mother shared a hospital room with another woman who passed away because she had a cesarean delivery while the hospital struggled with intermittent power. She left behind a baby girl and 4 little ones at home. I was lucky because my mother did not have a complication during that time. But going forward, we do not have to rely on luck. We have technologies today that can help us create a more resilient, adaptable energy system. Vehicles could provide power to buildings during emergencies and do more than just drive us from point A to point B. Providing solutions for our energy needs has individual and personal impacts on all of us in our communities, and that's why it's so exciting to see such a diverse group of stakeholders find common ground. Thank you. So I would like to hand off, the next speaker will be, David Hochschild. I would like to introduce David Hochschild, who was appointed chair of the California Energy Commission by Governor Gavin Newsom in February 2019. David Hochschild's career has spanned public service, environmental advocacy, the private sector. He is an avid advocate for solar energy, having launched a citywide $100 million initiative to put solar panels on buildings in San Francisco. He also co-founded Vote Solar Initiative, and he was the executive director of a national consortium of leading solar manufacturers. David is a strong advocate for 100 renewable energy for all sectors and has taken a leadership role in advancing the production of lithium ion in the Salton Sea region, where the DOE secretary is today. So stationary and mobile battery applications, especially electric vehicles, will be supported and other supporting infrastructure. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to David Hochschild, who will introduce someone else important.
Thank you, Rima. Well, thank you, Rima, for that generous eulogy. And good morning, everybody. Thank you to IBEW and NECA for hosting us, Rima for your vision, and to the force of nature that is Angelina Galateva and her vision for Clean Energy Future. Thank you so much. We're so fortunate to have you on the ISO board as we build out this Clean Energy Future in California, which really is a model for the nation and for the world. I just wanted to, by way of introduction for Mayor Parris, just say we should never underestimate the power of local leadership. You do not have to be a big city to make a big impact. Mayor Parris was the first mayor, the first city in the world to mandate solar on all new construction. That then became a state code. We're now requiring solar in every new building in California. It's now being considered for adoption into the International Energy Code, and it wouldn't have happened without his leadership. He's the first city as well to get to net zero, and has been thank you, and has been an absolute pioneer for transportation electrification. So watch this man, watch what he does. He represents the future. Please welcome Mayor Rex Parris.
I'm surprised I'm here. You know, when we started out down this path, it was amazing the amount of abuse the city and the city staff had to take. We were laughed at, we were scorned, we were, you know, Facebook lit up every day. But we set out to develop a model for a city that once the world woke up, it would be easier for them to do. That was the goal 12 years ago. I thought I'd last about 5 or 6 years before they kicked me out. You know, I mean, it's a Republican area, very conservative. You know, the Facebook was brutal. But then something amazing happened. As we went down this path, we made more money than you could possibly imagine. Alternative energy is profitable, and it's profitable in a huge way. You know, not only are we the only bus company in the country that has all electric buses, we're the only profitable bus company in the country. I mean, think about that. The only profitable company. But the reason I set out to do this is not because of any leadership skills or anything else, it's because I'm a grandfather. I have 6 grandchildren. And it became apparent to me that they will not survive. This is climate extinction we are dealing with. You know, and I've spoken all over the world, and I ask people to raise their hand if there's anybody here who sees a technological solution. Forget the political solution, the technological solution. And that's exactly what's happening now, is people are raising their hand. But when you first heard me ask that, nobody raised their hand because there wasn't one. And so now that we have the technology to actually stop the extinction of our species, it's groups like this that can make it happen. You know, without groups like this coming together and rapidly, and I mean rapidly, launching these different types of ways to lower the footprint. You know, that's everything that will lower the footprint has to be fielded quickly. You know, we are in a war against extinction. I'm thrilled. I am thrilled that this is here. And you know, also, you know, as we built that city, and you know, we'll be the first hydrogen-powered city in the world. I think that's the goal. Because ultimately, that's where I think we have to go to survive. The reason we were able to do it is because a Republican city council and a Republican mayor joined hands with labor. I mean, never happened that I'm aware. IBEW, the building trades, we came together and we have a common purpose. And it's a simple purpose. It's that our children survive. You know, that's not hard, you know? And when you have that as a common purpose, you can put aside all the differences and you can make things happen. You can build things that have never been built before. You know, this project here is actually quite remarkable because it cuts the peak load. You know, it's the power plant peaking that dumps so much crap into the air. It wears out the equipment. You know, if you could just make it flat, if you could just balance the load, everything gets better. Everything gets better, even with the current technology. Now, that's probably the only good thing I'll ever say about the fossil fuel industry, if they institute this and stop the peaking. But it is something that is quite remarkable. But this would not happen if this group hadn't come together. You know, we've got the state, we got the feds, we got the locals, and we got labor, and we got the people who build it, you know, the actual people who invest in it. Them coming together and making this happen could actually mean we survive 30 years from now. But that's what it's going to take. You give me great hope. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, I would like to introduce Lauren Faber as the Chief Sustainability Officer for the City of Los Angeles. Lauren is driving the implementation of LA's Green New Deal, a global model for local action to confront the climate crisis. LA's Green New Deal is guided by 4 key principles: uphold the Paris Climate Agreement, deliver environmental justice and equity, ensure an inclusive green economy, and lead by example within city government. The City of LA has taken a leadership role in installing EV charging infrastructure, and they are the front runners in V2G project implementation. I believe they've got some of these vehicles and chargers on display right next to me. We look forward to working with the City of LA, the LA Department of Water and Power, and all EV stakeholders to ensure that we take full advantage of the grid benefits provided by V2G. Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks, Rima. And thank you to our hosts. Thank you to our hosts, NECA and IBEW. Let's see, I'll hold it as well. It's really great to be here today. This is a really important convening. And, you know, I'm really excited to see so many people who have come to the LA area. I'm happy to welcome everyone. It's wonderful to have Department of Energy and the state of California, of course, and all the leaders in the, you know, clean, zero-emission grid and zero-emission transportation space. And you've also brought abnormally cool weather. If you could have only brought the abnormal rain, that would have been great too, so maybe next time. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful day. And I remember the first time I was at this facility was at the dedication of this place, this world-class facility. I think it was 2016 or 2017, actually. And, you know, it has continued to live up to the promise. It's promised that the opportunities of a green economy are truly boundless if we foster and welcome innovation and partnership. That's what this is all about. And, you know, we've talked about, and thank you, Mayor Parris, for really underscoring the urgency of the moment. You know, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change just 2 weeks ago came out yet again saying that climate action must go faster and that we must pursue the boldest solutions we can if we want to truly safeguard our climate for a livable, safe, and prosperous world. And so we have to ignore the old boundaries, the you do the wires and I do the wheels, because they're artificially limiting the, you know, the reach of technology. Just yesterday, actually really proud, just yesterday, the City of Los Angeles was named the #1 solar city in America for the 8th time over the last 9 years. And we are also blowing past all of our EV charger installation goals in Mayor Garcetti's Green New Deal. We're sitting at 17,000 commercial and publicly available chargers in the city, which is, you know, by far the most in any city in the country. And I'm certain that the EVITP program that is available here has a lot to do with that as well, and that deserves an applause. But, you know, we're making sure that those chargers are where people need them, in multifamily housing, in employee lots, on our street poles, and in disadvantaged communities who cannot be left behind by this transition. So in LA, we are throwing away the old playbook and we're writing a new one. We're writing our own. Just last year, Mayor Garcetti came together with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and Secretary Granholm to study, which is truly our new playbook. Because our partnership with the National Renewable Energy Lab, who have been just absolutely fantastic to work with over the last many years on this project, on this study, we have shown that a 100% clean energy, zero carbon grid is not only achievable, but it is affordable and reliable. And it also showed that the more we integrate the electrification of transportation and the electrification of buildings, the better. The better for job creation, the better for keeping our costs down, and the better for public health. It showed that we can create 13,000 green jobs annually through this grid transformation and save $1.4 billion in healthcare costs because of improved air quality. And it showed that we can get there faster than we thought. And so Mayor Garcetti accelerated our goal by 10 years to 2035. So the other really interesting kind of confirmation was that we needed to increase the amount of flexible load, demand-side resources, and customer engagement in order to meet those goals. So that's why the work that we're doing through this MOU is going to be so important. It's really, really facilitating our goals, and then of course, what we want to see bringing to scale. So I have to give a shout out to my closest partners who are here today, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, who are not shying away from this truly Mulholland moment of the power sector. LADWP is deploying our first V2G, in this case pilot, over at their headquarters in downtown LA. And that is thanks to our amazing engineers, our wonderful partners at IBEW Local 11 and Fermata that is here today as well. And we want to get the learnings and we want to get to scale, because that's what we need to be doing to really meet the moment of this climate crisis. And so this MOU, bringing together even a larger pool of leaders, is going to help us get to scale. So thank you to everyone for coming together today. I really believe that we're embarking on an area of work that is going to be a key ingredient to building the green economy and really supporting good jobs, and of course ensuring that we meet the need, the sore need of a safe, prosperous, and healthy planet. My 4-year-old daughter is very proud of the EVs in our driveway. I have taught her well. And I just hope that when she's old enough to drive, this idea of V2 everything will just be baked into our everyday life. Manager of the LA Department of Water and Power, who, Marty Adams has been, just continues to be an incredible visionary, whether it's in our water system or our grid system, truly rethinking without limitation, opening up our sights to what the future of LA's infrastructure can look like and our role in leading the charge. And so I want to introduce Marty Adams.
Good thing that wasn't my notes. There we go. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us here today, and thank you for having the Department of Water and Power here as part of this great celebration. What a wonderful location this is. I had the opportunity to walk inside, and I have never been so excited about the training opportunities for our future workforce. And believe me, we know that future workforce is going to be critical to what we want to do for the environment and the economy, the needs that we have in the electrical industry to help create the workforce that'll power our society for the future, particularly right here in California. The needs are huge, and so seeing a beautiful facility like this that's hosting us today is, to me, just remarkable, and just a sign that we're doing things right and going the right direction. I want to thank the Department of Water and Power folks that are here today. You guys want to raise your hands, and some of the crew that are here. You guys have put a lot of work into this, and a lot of work into leading where we're going as a state, with the City of LA as a shining example. And Angeline, you can raise your hand as an alumni, so that's good. So Christmas this last year, I gave all my adult kids these flashlights, and there's rechargeable, because we all remember growing up, for those people my age, chasing around the house trying to find D-cell batteries and your parents yelling at you for leaving the flashlight on. So it's amazing they're all rechargeable now, so you use them and use them and use them and never run out. And these million candle power flashlights, and I'm walking around and Chris is going, and by the way, you can plug your phone in here and charge your phone with this thing too. And I don't know why I thought that was so unique. And then I was at the airport parking lot and I saw someone who'd left their lights on, and they have the big stack of batteries, 12-volt batteries. They roll around and help everybody out. And somebody asked me, "Can you jump my car?" And I got an electric vehicle, and I have no clue if there's a battery or a post or what you do, and I still don't know the answer to that. But what strikes me is there's 83,000 electric vehicles running around the city of LA right now. Batteries on 4 wheels. Not just to charge little handheld like to charge our phones with, but batteries that can charge our city. And really, when you think about the renewable future, with renewable energy, the challenge is when it's available and what it's going to cost. And battery storage and the idea of I heard hydrogen mentioned a couple times already, and everyone knows we're big into that. The ability to store clean energy for time to use later on when the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining. We know how to do that. Cost-wise, if we're investing in all these vehicles and all these other places we have stored energy, why do we have to build everything twice? Why can we not take advantage of what's right here already with us and find a way to plug that in to help take the edge off the demands, to help relieve the stress on the grid when it happens and where it happens? So it's our pleasure to be part of this agreement today, this MOU, to work together. As Lauren mentioned, we have a pilot going on at our headquarters building. We're looking at a second pilot at our Lacrette's research facility. And I think the most important thing is that we're not in competition. We're in collaboration. And we're working to do all these things, working together to learn from each other. It's a race where we all want to finish together. It's a race where we all want to help each other. This is like the giant relay where if a teammate goes down, we want to pick him up and carry him along the way so we all cross the finish line. And I think that that's what this offers, is the opportunity to work together towards something that we all need, and that'll make a huge difference in the future and how we can implement renewable energy across all of California and then across the globe. So thank you for letting me speak today and seeing everybody. It's a great honor to be part of this fantastic effort, really moving the needle for the future. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So next, I would like to introduce Patty Monahan. She was appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom on April 2019 to be one of the 5 commissioners of the California Energy Commission. She serves in the Energy Commission's Science Engineering position and is the lead commissioner on transportation. She has dedicated her career towards advancing clean energy technologies and cutting harmful pollution with a focus on equity. Before joining the Energy Commission, she served as a transportation program director at the Energy Foundation, where she guided campaigns across the United States in advanced electric transportation and more efficient vehicles. She worked for the Union of Concerned Citizens in several roles, including director of the California office and deputy director of clean vehicles. She also worked at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and several energy-related consulting firms. Commissioner Monahan, welcome to the stage.
Thanks, Rima. It's a pleasure to be here. And as people have spoken, I've really been reflecting on how much things have changed in just 3 short years. 3 years ago, the Trump administration was trying to take away California's authority to set vehicle standards. And California was kind of alone in trying to move forward with a zero-emission transportation future. And now we have partners in the Department of Energy and the Biden administration. I really just want to say it's a joy to be working together in collaboration with General Motors, other auto companies, labor, local government, state government, to be able to advance this zero-emission transportation future that we so need. I mean, for the sake of our children, for our grandchildren, which I hope to have one day. And so it's just wonderful to be here to see how much progress we have already made and how much more we have to go. I want to emphasize that this transition to electric transportation, I think, is unstoppable. It's happening not just here in California, it's happening in China, it's happening in the EU. We in California passed the significant milestone of having 1 million zero-emission vehicles sold in the last quarter of 2021. That's worth a clap. And this, in Q1 of this year, we're at 16% of new vehicle sales. And we're truly, I think, reaching this inflection point. But to really make sure that zero-emission transportation is available to all, we have to have a ubiquitous refueling infrastructure, and we have to make sure, as this MOU emphasizes, that we capitalize on the potential for electric vehicles to benefit the grid and to put money back into the pockets of EV drivers who are charging their vehicles in ways that support this transition. So before I go any further, actually, I did want to thank IBEW 11 and Joe Sullivan in particular, who I've seen running around. He's been great in organizing this. Thanks, Joe. And NECA and Angelina Galiteva, who actually was one of the people who came to me first with introducing me to Rima. And I know, Rima, you're amazing. Can we give Rima some applause here? A little bit of love for Rima. So it's really amazing that we have this broad coalition of support. But now our challenge is to realize this potential. My agency, the Energy Commission, I usually say that we're the lead energy agency, but when the Public Utilities Commission is here, I don't think I can say that. So one of the lead energy agencies. And we've done an analysis of the charger needs in 2030 to meet California's goals. And what we're finding is that we need a massive scale up. We need like a Manhattan Project scale up in infrastructure. So we have about 79,000 shared public and private chargers. We need to get to 1.2 million for light duty vehicles by 2030. We're also going to need 160,000 chargers for medium and heavy duty vehicles. That's a lot of load. So we looked at how much additional load is that, and our analysis indicates that compared to today, compared to 2020, the increase in load is about 16%. That is a huge flexible load for California. We've also looked at, well, what if you electrified every single school bus? We have 25,000 school buses, more than a gigawatt of energy just from electrifying all of our school buses and being able to use that stored potential to benefit the grid. So the Energy Commission has done several investments. So one of the things we bring to the table, in addition to analysis, is money. And so we've been investing in over 200 electric school buses that have the potential to give energy back to the grid. And we've invested in projects to help unlock that value as our various of our IOU partners in this. We partnered with the military to demonstrate vehicle-to-grid on Nissan Leafs. And just earlier this year, we awarded Santa Clara Valley Transit money to build an advanced microgrid capable of charging buses that even when the grid is down. So we need to think of resilience strategies so that at the times that when we have power safety shutoffs and we need to, for safety reasons, shut down the grid, we want to make sure that there is still a refueling infrastructure available for electric vehicles. So I think this is no surprise to all of you, but we're finding that as we electrify transportation, consumers just love it. They love the quiet. They love the 0 to 30 acceleration. They love the fact that they're not paying $5 at the pump right now for fuel. Yes. And I think as the crisis in Russia and Ukraine highlights, we need, for the sake of energy security globally, to be independent. And I think for many years, that was just rhetoric, energy independence. You would hear that, your eyes would roll back and be like, oh yeah, right. But now that future is within our grasp. And capitalizing on vehicle-to-grid technologies that make it easier for us to decarbonize the grid as we do it is a win for consumers, a win for the environment, and that's where we need to get to. So I'm just going to close out by saying that when Governor Newsom made a call just 2 years ago, he said, we're going to phase out all internal combustion engines, we're going farm equipment, we're going to electrify it. And I think at the time, everybody was like, what? That's not possible. But then recently, right after, I think months after, Governor Newsom made that announcement, General Motors gave the same commitment to a goal of, by 2035, having all passenger vehicles be zero emission. And this MOU is a step in the direction of being able to reach these goals and driving down prices, putting money back into the pockets of consumers who are willing to make these investments. The future of zero-emission transportation has never been more exciting. I feel, as somebody who's been in this space for a long time, so optimistic that we are just, it's within our grasp. And the key for us is to really work together to make sure we can unlock that value. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we have yet another commissioner to introduce. I would like to introduce Cliff Rechtschaffen. I should have practiced that earlier. Cliff is my brother's name, by the way, was appointed to the California Public Utility Commission by Governor Jerry Brown in January of 2017. At the CPUC, his key areas of interest include decarbonization, safety, environmental justice, enforcement, and improving the accessibility of commission proceedings. Commissioner Cliff is the assigned commissioner on the integrated resource planning and, most importantly, transportation and building electrification, along with renewables portfolio standards. Cliff also co-leads several internal agency initiatives, including implementation of the Commission's Environmental and Social Justice Action Plan. The Commissioner is a member of the Joint Federal State Task Force on Electric Transmission, serves as one of 2 commissioners on the Senate Bill 350 Disadvantaged Communities Advisory Group, is a member of the Western Energy Imbalance Market Body of State Regulators, and is on the advisory board of the California Stationary Fuel Cell Collaborative and the Financial Research Institute. Cliff has a bird's eye view for the importance of integrating V2X capabilities into a decarbonized network, and we are grateful to have him join us for this important event. Welcome, Cliff.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Rima. That's actually the first time anyone's mispronounced my name. It's a pleasure to be here as the kid cousin state lead energy regulator, and I do want to thank NECA and IBEW for hosting us and for your long-standing and deep commitment to clean energy. It's really remarkable. I also want to thank DOE for their leadership here. It's wonderful, as Commissioner Monahan said, to have a true partner at the federal government, and I'm delighted to be joined by so many other colleagues from state agencies as well as partners throughout the economy, various sectors who have joined together on this very, very important effort. I think vehicle to everything is the right name for what we're doing, because bidirectional charging can change everything. It has the potential to change everything. And it is so needed right now to achieve our climate and air quality goals. You've heard already some of the speakers list off the benefits, and they're very, very important to regulators whose goal it is to provide safe, affordable, and reliable clean energy. Bidirectional charging can provide power to the grid when there are outages due to wildfires or earthquakes or other extreme events, can feed power back to the grid when it's most stressed, at the peak times when there's the most demand. It can help regulate the stability of the grid. It can reduce the cost of owning electric vehicles. People can earn money owning their vehicles. And it can also avoid very expensive transmission and distribution level upgrades on our system. We're facing a real crisis for ratepayers right now. Anything we can do to hold down those costs is imperative. My agency, the Public Utilities Commission, has authorized close to $2 billion in EV infrastructure, and we've taken a number of steps to promote vehicle-to-grid activities. I'll just highlight a couple of them. We created a working group with 90 public-private partners, including some of the very same groups that are involved in this MOU to further EV integration. We got a lot of great ideas for what we should do, a lot of use cases, examples of how vehicle grid integration can really help the grid and consumers. And one of the key recommendations of this group was to promote pilot projects. So as a result, we've spent about $35 billion, authorized about $35 billion in pilot projects for the various utilities we regulate. And we've told them to really focus on pilots that bring promising, ready-to-go technologies to bear, and that also reduce the barriers to deployment for these things that are ready to go. Again, a very comparable and complementary to the focus of this MOU. By the way, tomorrow, the PUC hopefully will approve another $11.5 million in pilots for PG&E, including one that's going to affect 1,000 and involve 1,000 residential customers, up to 200 fleets, and an innovative one that will vehicle to microgrid public safety power shutoff pilot. One of the things we heard loud and clear from this working group is that the lack of money, the lack of payment when you export your power to the grid is a deal breaker. Last year, we ordered the utilities to launch a path-breaking vehicle-to-grid pilot program that was part of an emergency load reduction program. That's a program we created to reduce demand on the system in order to deal with peak demand events. And the program pays EV owners to export power to the grid when demand on the statewide grid peaks. And we hope that this can be a foundation for further development. More in the weeds, we've launched, but important, we've launched a number of innovative programs to facilitate interconnection for vehicle charging stations. And then finally, I want to talk about this just a little bit. The MOU really highlights how important it is to have a skilled and qualified workforce to develop this technology. And I'm very proud that at the PUC, we are committed to promoting economic opportunities and high road careers as we develop this sector. We have an environmental and social justice action plan, and one of our core objectives is promoting high road employment opportunities and career paths for residents of disadvantaged communities. We've entered into an MOU with the California Workforce Development Board to help guide us in achieving these efforts. We've issued a decision last year that required the utilities to show how they will promote equity and access to high quality jobs as they apply for funding for infrastructure development. We have another proposal out for comment that asks for advice about how we can continue to promote workforce development. We're requiring that ratepayer funded EV charging is installed by workers who've completed the requisite training, the EVIT program, so that charging infrastructure is installed safely. So there's a lot that we're doing. So to conclude, this MOU couldn't be more welcome and more timely or more necessary to achieve our climate and environmental goals, and also to promote energy security and economic opportunity for the country as a whole. And I look forward to working together with everyone on it. Thank you.
Next up, I have the pleasure of introducing Deputy Assistant Secretary, Michael Berube. I did practice that one. It's something I've had to work on. And he heads up our Office of Vehicles Technology Office. He also helps oversee the Fuel Cell Office. He oversees also the Hydrogen Office. We also recently announced the joint office between DOT and DOJ, which he also oversees, and he's helping coordination with the Department of Transportation as well. So please, let's welcome Michael to the stage.
Well, thank you very much. I really do want to recognize Rima for all of her work. I do remember it was pre-pandemic, so it must have been at least 2.5 years ago when she came over to me and talked about this MOU, and I swear she had like this event in her mind. She clearly had a big vision because it stuck in my mind, and she has been really tenacious at making it happen and getting it done. I just want to give a few quick comments. I came out here yesterday. We had a great event and discussion around batteries. I have to say how energizing it is, no pun intended, being here in California. I want to give you a perspective of where we are in Washington, D.C. and the federal government. Being out here, really, we're at both a state level, city, county level. There's so much leadership happening. It's great for me to bring those ideas back. I will say from the Department of Energy's perspective and my personal perspective, our goal is nothing short of achieving the technologies that you talked about, Mayor, to get 100% decarbonization across the grid and across transportation. We are very squarely of the mindset that if we do these together, if we work with them jointly hand in hand, we can achieve that vision. We do believe the technology is close to at hand, some cases we're getting there, and we're going to continue to push very hard, whether it's on batteries, hydrogen, EV charging. But beyond the technology, it will not happen without the broad community support. And that's why today is, I think, just really so positive for me, seeing people, whether at the state level, the local level, the city government, private industry, and of course on the labor side as well. We are not going to achieve the level of change we need across transportation without a significant amount of skilled labor, whether that be installing those chargers, also with workforce training to build the batteries of the future, the new electric transportation of the future. And then, that's before we get to hydrogen and the massive amount of hydrogen hubs that we need to be building as well. So I think you'll see a very, very strong focus across the Department of Energy and with our other federal colleagues with a very much whole of government approach, and an approach that very much recognizes that need to bring the broad community together, including labor as part of that, and including workforce training as part of those initiatives. I do want to also mention that just this week, we also have announced what will be essentially over $60 million over 5 years of new work across our national labs. I heard you mention the great work from the LA 100 project out of our National Renewable Energy Lab that our team supported, but a broad range of work focused on what we call EVs at scale. We have a huge effort focused on getting the battery costs down, and the focus of this effort is bringing the power of the U.S. national labs, this is money to the labs, to address all those other issues when we have large-scale EV deployment. The things like V2X, bidirectional charging, high-powered charging, the integration of the grid and transportation. So that work will help support, hopefully, what we did with LA 100, we would like to do with many, many more cities. I don't know if I could say another 100 cities, but we'd like to do that across the board at kind of a ground level look at how do we decarbonize at the city level. So this investment across the labs will support that as well. We are very happy to support this specific MOU as well, which will be part of that much broader lab effort at vehicle and grid coordination overall. So thank you all very much for the support, not just today, but really the support over the coming years, because it is going to take a lot of work to get this vision done collectively. And Rima, thank you.
So I would also like to now introduce Hector de la Torre. He is with the California Air Resource Board. They've done some groundbreaking work on helping decarbonize and put standards around trucks and transportation, particularly around electrified trucks, as well as sail trucks. I cannot do him justice in introducing him properly. So I will cut to the chase and let him come to the stand. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome everybody to the former 50th Assembly District I used to represent in the State Assembly. So I'm very, very proud to be here because this facility was in my district back in the day, and I used to come here and see the wonderful programs that were happening, and it's a model to me about what we can do. I want to thank NECA and IBEW. It's a real blue-green alliance in the state of California and in the nation, but especially here because we are here. To Mayor Parris's point about bipartisanship, the California Air Resources Board, created by Republican Ronald Reagan. The Clean Air Act and the federal EPA, created by Republican Richard Nixon. There was a time where air quality was not partisan. There was a time where everyone realized we all have lungs, and those lungs aren't partisan. And so I really appreciated the mayor's comments because they're so important to how we move forward as a country, as a state. So California needs zero-emission vehicles. We're transitioning to ZEVs because they're necessary to achieve our health-based standards, reduce our climate emissions, and hit our targets for our grandchildren, for our children going forward. And to reduce the burden of those emissions on communities like this. Not far away from here is the 710 freeway. It's called the Diesel Death Corridor because of those emissions. Diesel accounts for about 8% of the climate impact of emissions in California. It accounts for over 60% of the toxic effect of air pollution in California. It's pretty damn obvious what we need to do in the state of California. We need to get rid of diesel. And this is part of it. So going forward, we have two options. We either can do dirty stagnation or we can do clean growth. And the state of California is firmly on the side of clean growth going forward. Those most impacted by the pollution, as I said, live in low-income communities and disadvantaged communities. And they also have the health impacts of this on their day-to-day lives. Asthmatics, etc. Cancer clusters are happening in these same communities. So to me, it starts there, and then we build our way out. And that's what we're doing at CARB. Along with the governor's executive order, which was mentioned by Patty, calling for the transition to ZEVs by 2035 for light-duty vehicles, 2035 for drayage trucks, 2045, I think, for medium and heavy duty. I get all these dates mixed up, but it's coming. We're going there. It is our commitment. I mentioned diesel, heavy-duty ZEV, high-capacity charging is needed. We are pushing for that at CARB. Hand in hand with rolling out these zero-emission vehicles is the need to roll out this infrastructure. The two are symbiotic. You can't take these cars without being able to charge them. The wonderful thing is you don't need a gas station. You can charge at home. You can charge in your apartment. You can charge at the grocery store. So we are building that network out. We have a long way to go, but we're going to do it. And how do I know this? Because the California Air Resources Board pioneered the catalytic converter. It's ubiquitous now. The California Air Resources Board pioneered onboard diagnostic computers everywhere. Every vehicle has it now. Some vehicles are more computer than car nowadays because of that initiative. And now we are focusing completely 100% on this transition to ZEV at the Air Resources Board. We are not going to stop. Just ask Volkswagen about what we do when we catch someone not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Look it up. So why do we know that ZEVs are the answer? Because there's over 1 million, as Patty pointed out, over 1 million in California just a couple of months ago. She mentioned that the first quarter, 16% of auto sales were ZEVs. Last year, 12%. The year before, 7%. The trajectory is clear, and certainly these gas prices are going to help push it even further. UBS, the Swiss bank, don't take our word for it. This is a Swiss bank, says that we will achieve price parity on battery electric vehicles by 2024 or 2025. That may slip a little because of COVID, but we are going to reach price parity soon. There are over 40 models available this year, ZEV models in the state of California. Over 40 vehicles to choose from. And that doesn't even account for all of the pickup trucks and SUVs that are coming just around the corner. We have, in California, we've committed to doing this with the Clean Cars for All program and CVRP program, over $500 million in this year's budget alone for those programs to get butts in seats of zero emission vehicles. So we are absolutely focused on it. So our focus on charging is to ensure equitable access to charging, i.e. building codes that require ZEV charging capability at multifamily housing, very important for those lower income folks. Although nowadays with the housing prices, it's not just lower income folks that are locked into multifamily housing. Ensuring fueling up is as easy to do as filling up with gasoline, with our access regulations requiring credit card payment equipment, clear signage regarding prices, and excluding required network membership for the charging. Decarbonizing the production of electricity and hydrogen to maximize the emission reductions that we will see from that electricity through our LCFS and capacity credit program. So these are just a few of the things. We are the ones that are talking about it. We're the ones that are promising it. We cannot have a bait and switch for the consumer. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that it happens, that this transition for the consumer is as good as we say it will be. To that point, later this week, or next week, I guess, is our board meeting, and we are going to be talking with all of our state agency colleagues to talk about the coordination that it takes for our consumers to get that value that we have promised. And finally, success is going to take more than state agencies working together. Success will require everyone to embrace a vision of 100% zero emission vehicles and what it means in terms of infrastructure, energy production, travel patterns, workforce development, and so much more. It requires homes, apartments, condominiums, dormitories that need chargers. It requires commercial, workplace, and truck parking lots, warehouses, truck stops, ports, hospitals, airports, and many more locations that need chargers. It requires utilities being able to prioritize grid upgrades and interconnections to support new electrical service in all of these locations. It requires dwell time and location of fleets that may shift because of the requirements for charging. So many electrical professionals will also be needed to plan, install, and service charging sites. We cannot rely on this industrial revolution, this green industrial revolution, to go like the last one. We need to make sure that our labor force is with us hand in hand from the beginning and make sure it goes all the way through. Thank you. Finally, V2G will make charging less expensive. Again, that value proposition that I mentioned earlier. This is going to help reduce the cost and accelerate the pace of the transition. We are convinced of it. This is the way we get to cheap and clean for the state of California. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next up, I'd like to introduce Michael Richard. Michael Richard is the Director of Construction and Maintenance for the International Brotherhood Electric Workers Association. And he flew here all the way from Washington, D.C., so let's give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. And just a quick correction, I flew here from Detroit, which was snowing and icy yesterday morning, so it was great to land here with the weather we're having. And being from Detroit, one other caveat, I'm impressed by this center, and I take umbrage with it too, because we invest a lot of money in Detroit to make the first zero net energy center in the Midwest. And I think we were third or fourth in the country until this one came online and knocked us down a few pegs. So while you did the great work here, it's very impressive. It was a little bit upsetting because I was sitting high there for about 2 or 3 months. So yeah, I bring you greetings from Washington, D.C., the international office. Unfortunately, President Stevenson and Secretary Treasurer Cooper are over in Vegas at the Progress meeting. As Eric said, there's a very important meeting going on right now, and I'm what you get when the bosses are busy. They send me in their place. I'm glad to be joining you here, and it gets me out of DC, and that's always a plus. And of course, the IBEW is very proud and pleased to be part of this MOU and this process, and we're committed to the national build out of the bidirectional charging infrastructure. And listening to the speakers before me, it really drives the point home that policies can be made from DC and pushed around the country, but innovation and where the rubber hits the ground is happening right here in California. And I'm hopefully optimistic that what is accomplished here today will be the model for what we do around the rest of the country. I was glad to be able to talk to some of the stakeholders in this earlier before we started and make some connections, because I truly think that what we do here is going to be replicated around the country, and it's helpful for me to put the names and faces together. This type of work is sophisticated, it's high technology, it's high tech, and it requires a highly trained, advanced workforce. And as it was mentioned here, we've got nearly 2,000 apprentices being trained at this center, second to no one in the country. And on that note, I want to thank the apprentices for being patient, sitting back there. Half are standing because I think we're getting a little long in the tooth and boring up here. And I seen the nodding off because I was starting to do it up here too. I can blame jet lag. I don't know what, other than boredom, what they're doing. But safety is extremely a critical part of this industry, and that's paramount to what we do in training here at training centers like this. We have 287 training JTCs around the country, and again, this is the flagship of all the training centers around the country. And I again say that I have a lot of pride in my training center back in Detroit, but I will concede to this one here. And again, hats off to Local 11 and their contractor partners at NECA for building something so amazing here. The IBEW is built on the principles and the practices that will ensure the construction and maintenance of the nation's bidirectional network is done to the standards and values that will ensure success. When we train apprentices here, there's 8,000 on-the-job hours that they get, 1,000 plus hours associated classroom curriculum. It's like a college degree crammed into this while they're working full-time during this whole thing. I think, again, that is something that needs to be stressed, the amount of training and effort that goes in to, on our end, on the IBEW NECA, to train the apprentices, and on the apprentices end to absorb all that. They're getting a lot of training really no other way to do it, and it's an amazing process if you step back and watch it. And I've had the pleasure over the past 30 plus years to be able to be in a very good seat to watch it happen and watch it transform lives. And I think that's the other part of this that we really need to acknowledge, especially being here today and looking at this class. It's amazing to me the diversity that I see in this class right here. And it's a shining example of the IBEW's new initiative, IBEW Strong, that's about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Making your local unions look like the communities that you work in. And there's no better example than what I'm looking at right now. Amazing job. Again, the IBEW has evolved to be a leading force in advanced sustainable energy training, the construction of photovoltaic, solar, energy storage, building automation, and EV charging. IBEW members have built the grid in this country, and we've maintained it since inception. Over 404,000 IBEW members are ready, skilled and committed to constructing America's bidirectional charging infrastructure on both sides of the meter. Again, thank you for having me, and congratulations on what you're accomplishing here today.
We're getting close, I promise. Stay with me. Next up, Paul Lau is CEO and General Manager of the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, also known as SMUD, a community-owned utility serving 1.5 million people in the greater Sacramento region. Paul is a 40-year SMUD veteran and has led virtually every business unit at SMUD, most recently Chief Grid Strategy and Operations Officer before becoming CEO in 2020. He serves on the board of the Large Public Power Council, American Public Power Association, California Municipal Utility Association, Business Council for Sustainability, for Sustainable Electric, SEPA, the Smart Electric Power Alliance, and the Electric Transportation Community Development Consortium, among many others. So I'll cut it. I don't want to do you a disservice, but I know people want to get moving. Paul also serves on the board of several Sacramento area community organizations and has a focus on education. I am going to let Paul come and give you his remarks, and please welcome him to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Rima. So I'm sure you're glad that my name's only got 2 syllables. But thank you so much, Rima, for your kind introduction. And good morning, everyone. So I'm honored to be here to commit SMUD to this important collaboration. But first of all, I'd like to thank the Department of Energy for spearheading this, and also thank IBEW and NECA for hosting this event, for all the great work that you do day in and day out. So I think this is the first time anyone in the United States has brought together all the stakeholders, governments, utilities, labor, research labs, auto manufacturers, private industry leaders in the vehicle to everything space. I love that term, vehicle to everything, not just vehicle to X. I think right now we really have the opportunity to accelerate the vehicle to everything solutions. And it really kind of brings the opportunity to reinvent how clean energy is supplied to our customers across the nation, safely, reliably, affordably, and most importantly, equitably. So simply put, the reason I'm down here today is I really believe this collaboration is a game changer. We're creating a movement that goes far beyond energy supply. Done right, you heard from our speakers. This movement will create inclusive economic and workforce development opportunities for historic underserved communities as this industry transforms. So now, as a community-owned organization or utility, equity is at the core of all that we do at SMUD. We exist to improve the quality of life for our customers and our community. So we're always looking at this clean energy future through the lens of an equity lens to make sure no community is left behind and everybody shares the benefits of this transition. So it is why SMUD invests in school buses, in electric school buses, and the first 20 that was deployed to our underserved communities, that actually is equipped with well, I'm having a tongue twister today. By the bidirectional charging, and also making sure that we actually have the vehicle to grid going back to providing energies when it's needed. So it's also why we're a partner in creating the California Mobility Center, a public-private partnership, a global partnership to advance e-mobility. But not only just advancing e-mobility, but really focusing on workforce development and how do you actually train the workforce of the future to supply in this clean energy revolution. So we were really thrilled when Secretary Granholm visited SMUD last December to look at our hedge training yard to really think about, how do you actually get people into this new workforce. Now, collaboration like this today, we're kicking off, is critical, but not for innovation, accelerating technologies, but also developing new business models to ensure communities that have historically been left behind also benefit, from this energy movement. Now, the success of a collaboration won't be measured on just how we accelerate this V to X technology. It really will be judged by the human impact of our work. Our solution must be inclusive and accessible and deliver to values for all customers, not just those who can afford this new technology. Furthermore, you heard some of my colleagues, Marty talked about, we must really transform the relationship that utilities actually have with our customers, especially when it comes to EVs, right? Instead of just giving rebates to customers when they buy a car, we must rebuild the relationship or really reinvent the relationship to say, how do we optimize your investments, right? So that, you can still actually use a car when you need it, right? You can still actually conform to your lifestyle and your values, but let us charge your car when the renewable energy is plentiful and it's very cheap on the grid. And now at the same time, when the grid is stressed, you can actually help us inject energy into the grid and remove or eliminate or severely reduce, the use of power plants that are brown. Radically going to change the relationship. So for SMUD, we're going to have about 300,000 electric vehicles by 2030. And we were just thinking, even if you just have 10% of those vehicles that's available for grid use, is equivalent to one of our power plants. And we're right now for SMUD, we are, I think, one of the utilities that have a very ambitious goal to have an absolute zero carbon by 2030. So we're committed to remove every single bit of carbon from our power supply, but in addition to that, we're heavily investing about $2 billion to electrify both the building and transportation sector. Because if you talk about carbon, if you're going to talk about clean energy, if you talk about clean air, you cannot not talk about electrifying the building and transportation electrification. So that's why I'm so excited to see what we're doing today. So also, I think really one of the best ways that we really want to think about is how do you actually create the ecosystems that bring everybody's in. So if you think about all the 1,000 electrical chargers that we have and in the Sacramento area, how do you actually making sure that we have training programs, apprenticeship programs that actually introduces all this clean technology, I'm going to say career opportunities, to everyone in the community. So, and I also want to give a big shout out for my utility partners. I'm really proud to work alongside of them. You heard Marty talk about today from LADWP. I see my good friend over there, from Southern California, Edison, San Diego Gas Electric, also, from Pacific Gas Electric, because all of us as utilities have to work together to create this clean energy transition. And so I want to thank you again for DOE for bringing this dream team together. The company that has committed to this historic journey are leaders in their respective industries, and they also have deep commitments to a clean energy future, to innovation, and to equity. And I'm really proud to be on this journey with them and looking forward to delivering great things. I think, as the mayor said, the reason why we're doing this is we're doing it for our kids, our grandkids, is really, for the human race. So again, I want to thank you, Rima, for inviting me to come down here today, even though for a very short time, but this is such an important collaboration for SMUD that we decided that, we were going to sign on this this MOU, and hopefully all of us is going to be on this journey together. Again, I want to give the speakers, all the speakers, a great round of applause. I think for all the great work they did today. Again, thank you so much, Rima.
Thank you for those kind words, and trust me, I did not do this alone. Next up, I would like to introduce Richard Cesar. He's Deputy Director of Intergovernmental Affairs at the Department of Labor. He works closely with state, local, and tribal elected officials across the country to advance the mission and priorities of the Department of Labor. Prior to joining the Department of Labor, Richard served as Senior Public Policy and Program Manager for Los Angeles County's Workforce Development Department. So he's coming home. Here, he led the department's legislative policy and advocacy efforts and spearheaded multiple workforce and economic development programs and initiatives to promote economic prosperity for residents and businesses within LA County. Welcome, Richard, to the stand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rima. And good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you today. I bring greetings from Secretary Walsh, who could not be here today, but will actually be in California tomorrow and will be visiting the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. So very excited about that. And then I also bring greetings from Deputy Secretary Julie Su, who you all know as the former Secretary of Labor for the state of California. So thank you again for letting us be here today. And on behalf of them and our other leaders at the Department of Labor, I want to congratulate IBEW, NECA, my administration colleagues at the Department of Energy, and many of the partners seated here and in the audience for the incredible work that you're doing here on this MOU and this milestone today in the EV bidirectional charging infrastructure space. As Rima mentioned, prior to my current role, I did work for Los Angeles County, and there's a saying I used to say often when I worked for the county, and I still use, but it's essentially, as California goes, so goes the nation. I'm sure all of you have heard that many, many times, but I think this collaboration is further evidence of the fact that things happening here in California are innovative and that California is leading. So I think that deserves a round of applause for sure. So the Biden-Harris administration not only understands the benefits of better EV charging infrastructure in communities, but we're also prioritizing the work that's necessary to produce the improved infrastructure. In the executive order on the implementation of the $1.2 trillion Infrastructure and Jobs Act, President Biden said this investment will not only rebuild America's roads, bridges, and rails, but it will also drive the creation of good-paying union jobs and growing the economy sustainably and equitably for decades to come. So, frankly, our investment in infrastructure is also about creating high-quality, good-paying, family-supporting career opportunities for all communities, especially those that have been historically forgotten, and ensuring there's a framework in place for projects to attract and retain the necessary diverse workforce that employers need. Providing real opportunities for underserved communities to enter good-paying careers will also help ensure that folks can actually afford to fully take advantage of the improved transportation infrastructure upgrades happening in their communities. You know, over the last several months, we've heard in the media a lot of talk about the Great Resignation and labor dynamics and the labor shortages, as some refer to. But when we look deeply at what's really happening in the workforce, something that's not being discussed enough is that we're witnessing what we call a good job shortage. Workers' wages, their benefits are not where they need to be. Wages are often low. Adjusted for inflation, the typical male worker earned no more in 2019 than his counterpart did 40 years earlier. And for women, people of color, and many others, low and stagnant wages, unpredictable schedules, poor working conditions have been a common experience due to a long history of labor exploitation and overrepresentation of certain demographics in certain industries. In fact, the number of good jobs, those that pay a living wage, offer benefits, have consistent hours, have been on the decline for decades. Dynamics that have been exacerbated by the pandemic. Some of these dynamics have existed for years, but today we are seeing new patterns emerge that provide even more insights into how workforce is valuing job quality. Data shows that workers in low-paid industries, such as retail and hospitality, to name a few, but really across the board, where women and people of color are overrepresented, are leaving their jobs at record rates, and they are seeking good jobs. What this tells us is that in order to retain and recruit a skilled workforce, we need to be laser focused on job quality. So in recognizing the inflection point that workers are facing in our current economy, Secretary Walsh announced something we're calling the Good Jobs Initiative. It's a government-wide push led by the Department of Labor, working with the White House and all of our other federal agency partners, such as the Department of Energy, to embed job quality and equitable workforce development strategies into the implementation of the infrastructure law and the myriad funding opportunities that exist at the Department of Transportation, Commerce, Energy, EPA, to name a few. Pre-apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship programs that connect infrastructure work and facilitate entry into skilled trades for women, people of color, rural workers, justice-involved individuals, and others hard hit by high unemployment and systematic barriers are key. In addition, the Good Jobs Initiative is working, again in partnership with the White House and other federal agencies, to make workers on infrastructure projects aware that they have the free and fair opportunity for union organizing and collective bargaining if they choose to exercise that right. We know that unions raise wages, and that when union density is high, non-union workers also receive higher wages. We also know that union membership helps narrow racial and gender pay gaps. In the construction context, unions can provide critical infrastructure, stability, and coordination through the use of project labor agreements, which can also facilitate development and recruitment of diverse skilled labor, bring down costs, ensure health and safety, and support efficient completion of projects. So in closing, President Biden, Vice President Harris, Secretary Walsh, Secretary Granholm, the entire administration is committed to empowering all communities through the bipartisan infrastructure law and through our climate energy plans. And in making good on that commitment, it's critical that we ensure the infrastructure investments lead to high quality, good paying union jobs for diverse workers. Congratulations again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Last but not least, I would like to introduce you to Big John. John Harriel Jr. serves as its superintendent and diversity manager for Murrow Meadows. John, who is from South Central Los Angeles, is deeply devoted to serving his community. Through his foundation, Big John Cares and Second Call, check out the YouTube video, by the way, John has helped hundreds of men and women re-enter the workforce into high-road construction careers. John graduated valedictorian of his apprenticeship class. He is a winner of NECA's prestigious NECRAM Award, and he received the 2020 Construction Friend Award from the Association of General Contractors of California. Please welcome Big John.
Yeah, how we doing today? Thank you. I'm a little irritated that the crowd that was back there got to leave, because frankly, the people that left is the ones they're talking about. And unfortunately, I don't know why, but maybe somebody made that decision. But they're talking. I want to say thank you to Joel, Rusty, Jim for inviting me, and this excellent team of Diane and Diane and Alton that they do down here at the ETI, those 1,800 apprentices they're talking about. But make no mistake about it, this institution is like Ivy League. If anybody think they can just walk in that door over there and just gonna get a job, they're crazy. They need to understand the process. So everybody's talking about going into these underserved communities and doing all that. Well, there's some things that gotta change. And in an underserved community, what are we talking about? Low income. Low income is what? A lot of people been in prison, gangs. Well, who's gonna tackle that subject? And talk about getting into these careers and what's the process? There's a process to get into this IBEW. I can't just walk down here and get hired. They're talking about Department of Energy, Department of Labor, government. Well, is somebody gonna remove that felony box? Or is they just gonna, if I'm gonna be a builder in my community, because I still live in the community, but the IBEW is at the cutting edge of having access for individuals like myself and that group that was sitting back there with the orange jackets on to understand that they're going to need help, and it's a process. This isn't instant. It's great language to talk this, but who's going to get out their comfort zone and go into a community where the murderers, the gang members, the drug dealers, the homeless, and go down there and really have a conversation about life skills and how to get them into these trades and build and enjoy this great life that I have as a 25-year member of IBEW. But I still own and live in my community. I didn't leave it. But through the leaders that I've met and my heroes like the Eric Browns of the world, Jim Wood, they taught me and more medals, Rod medals, and they family. I go back to the community. I still live there, and we help empower. These great careers and all that undeserved don't mean nothing if I'm not part of the solution. Well, who's going to do that work? I know I am. But I'm going to need help from everybody else, like my brother right there at Carr. I sit on the EJAC side, but we talk about these things. That depth road he's talking about, it hit me while I was sitting there. I said, damn, it seems like where all the pollution is, that where all the where all the crime is. Yeah. So if I can clean the energy up with the pollution, well, maybe my mindset gets a little better. If I got clean energy, I mean, think about where those freeways are at. Most of them go through the ghettos. And if I got 60% pollution, my mind, my body, my soul is polluted. I don't care. The next thing you know, guess what? High crime, homelessness, body all messed up, all kind of things. But just imagine we get rid of that. Yeah. And so I'm glad to be on the new wave of thinking it. So when I go to the community and we talk about clean energy, it's not a foreign language. Because right now in my community, they're trying to just live and just eat. No one's thinking about the carbon footprint. It's about where I'm gonna get my next meal at and how am I gonna feed myself. Once we get past that, home ownership in communities that have been decimated because it wasn't the fact that somebody came in there and gentrified it. I relinquished power because I didn't understand the rules of home ownership. And how do I get back to that and go to a project and have clean energy? And someone understands that that's on AFDC. Who's gonna have that conversation? Right? It's tough. And I'm waiting to hear somebody tell me how they're gonna be able to take my classic car and be able to turn it, they already got the hydraulics in it, and keep it clean while I can still have the classic car. Or do I gotta get rid of it? Right? And are they gonna clean energy the prison industrial complex? Law enforcement cars, are those going to be clean energy? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do that with law enforcement. They're going to keep those with gas, I believe. But anyway, thank you for coming out, and we want to be part of the solution. I'm here to help, and we work together. But that group that left, I just wish they had stayed and understand what's going on. This is a big fight. And in order for us to win the war, we need to know where we're fighting from to be in a position of strength and really learn what's going on and speak with intelligence and learn this craft and learn what we're doing and help others and be the beacon that we are in IBEW by setting the standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Big John. So we are at the end of our list of speakers. Before I wrap up, I just want to make sure, not only am I thankful for IBEW and NECA, but I want to specifically call out Joe Sullivan and Jim Wilson and Angelina Galativa, who is the first woman chair of the California ISO. They've been my partners in helping put this event together. Thank you all for your participation in this MOU. We think this is going to be a very monumental effort. This is just getting started. This is going to grow. This is becoming viral. As you can tell, we've added a lot of folks at the last minute, and we hope to continue to add more folks in the future. I have a couple of more announcements. 3 things. If you were going to join the tour will be to the far left. If you will be joining me for a photo and signing the signboard here with our company logos, let's do that now. And then for those of you that don't want to go on the tour and are not going to join us for the photo op with the signatures, the lunch will be served inside. So please go on and